Today, I'm talking about NuLegacy. It's one of the most exciting stories. Look, I've been a shareholder of the company since day one. I remember when they first started, I went out to the project site because I actually looked at this area when I was working for a large mining company in Nevada back earlier in my career. And I did what's called a palimpsestic reconstruction. The Great Basin, if you think of it like a giant accordion, the place has been literally just ripped apart by extension, tectonic extension, over the past, say, 30 odd million years. And what's interesting is all of these big gold deposits, these big camps, these district scale gold systems have been pulled apart, just like pieces of on an accordion. Imagine as you pull an accordion apart, everything breaks up into pieces and gets stretched out. Well, this area, this target they call Rift Anticline, is actually one of the highest priority target areas I recognized way back when I did this palimpsestic reconstruction. So I was, I jumped in with both feet when I saw the opportunity. Now, what's interesting is the project actually was in the hands of Barrick. And I'm going to talk just briefly about that here in a second. First, we've got to talk disclaimer. This is on the website. Please read it. This is to show you that we're a bunch of shysters and you should use extreme caution when investing in any gold mining. No, sorry. We are honorable people who are going to try to tell you the best story we can, but you have to use your own discretion for investing. All right. Now that we're past that, let's talk about the aspects of the project. Okay, this is a project, firstly, that is run by one of the best exploration teams in Nevada. Okay, the ironic thing about this whole story, they got the project from Barrick, but now you have the Barrick team exploring it. Okay, these are people who are believers. They're dedicated to this project, this opportunity. You have people like Alex Davidson, former heavyweight in Barrick, vice president. Ed Cope, also vice president. You got Mark Bradley, Charles Weekly. I mean, this is a team beyond belief. Okay, so to get a discovery, you have to have good people on the ground, and they have it. All right, shareholder base. We'll talk about that in a minute. Best geology, yes, this is the Cortez trend. There is no better geology to find big gold systems in this region. Okay, tier one gold discovery, that would be an understatement. I'll show you why. Value realization, look, they're going to start drilling later this year. The 21, 22, forecast, crystal ball, whatever you want to call it, that's off by a bit. I think we'll start to see some value as early as late this year. Okay, the numbers on this page, you can read at your leisure. I don't want to take a bunch of time. Yes, there's some good shareholders here. Obviously, Barrick's a big part of it. You got Oceana Gold in here, some big funds. But what I want to focus on is one number. Okay, that number up at the top, 482.2 million shares. Now, most people think, oh my God, that's a lot of shares. Okay, I know the history of this company. I know what it took to get this property away from Barrick. And that number actually reflects the price that was paid. Is it a fair price? Look, that is a fair price. To get this property, 100% control like they have, the hard yards they had to go through was worth it. Okay, what does that mean for investors? You have a lot of shares to buy. It's that simple. Okay, the market cap right now is a little north of what's on the page here. It's, I think, hovering in the $50 to $60 million range. Okay, we're going to talk about these districts in Nevada. That one circle at the top, that's the Carlin Trend. That thing hosts well over 100 million ounces of gold. There's a deposit up towards the north end there where it says Betze, B-E-T-Z-E, and then there's a slash, it's Post, P-O-S-T, that's buried underneath there. That is the granddaddy of the Carlin Trend. That deposit is 55 million ounces. Now, perspective. Carlin Trend was found in 1961, grassroots discovery by John Livermore. Over the next few decades, we'll call it 25 years, other deposits were discovered. But guess what? Post-Betze was actually found in 1987, 26 years after the camp was established. Okay, that tells you how long it takes to make discoveries, even for these big ones in these areas. Okay, now let's go down to the circle at the bottom there. That's the Cortez area. Yes, there's some great big mines in there. Pipeline, big project, 20 million ounces. Cortez Hills, I think somewhere, the 15-ish million. Goldrush too. These are all big deposits. But where's that granddaddy? Where's the 50 million ouncer? look, I think NuLegacy has a very good shot of finding the Post-Betze of the Cortez area. Okay, this is a close-up of the Cortez region. You can see the pipeline deposit up in the upper left. You have the Cortez Hills deposit, and then the Goldrush deposit. Basically, you have a line of deposits. You remember the accordion effect I talked about? Think of this crust as just being strung out, like pulled apart, like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. Well, guess where the next jigsaw piece is? Okay, look down there at NuLegacy's ground. Rift Anticlinal. It doesn't take a lot of brain cells to realize there could be something very, very big there. They do have some discoveries. Serena and Iceberg, Avocado, yes, they're interesting discoveries, but they're really on the fringe of the system. Those are satellite parts of the system. Where's the big one? Right underneath the words Rift Anticlinal. Okay, let's talk about the operations here. You can see Cortez operations, huge production. Okay, this is one of the flagships for Barrick. You can see 1.3 million. What's really important? It makes a lot of money. All-in sustaining cost, 624. Goldrush, they anticipate 620. Production of nearly 500,000 ounces a year. That's coming up very shortly. These things are huge, huge prizes. Okay, these are what make gold mining companies. NuLegacy has a property that, if discovery is successful, will propel it, will give it that kind of value. Huge, huge result. This is a close-up image of drilling at Goldrush on the right-hand side. You can see the history of the project on the left. January 2008, the maiden resource was only 2.2 million ounces. It's grown quickly. It's well over 10 million ounces at this point. It's going into development. They're going to produce, like I said, nearly 500,000 ounces a year. But the footprint of the system is what's really interesting here. So on the right-hand side, you can see the map with all the little colored polka dots. Those are basically drill holes, and the colored polka dot is basically a gram meter interval. Like it represents how much gold was hit in the hole. You can see some of the flags there. What this is a long, skinny corridor of a blanket-like deposit that's stretched along several kilometers. Okay, so remember that sense of scale. You got to remember the size of the prize you're chasing. Okay, so now we've taken that deposit, that Goldrush deposit, we're putting it down there at the bottom of this image, and you can see that if you took that and you put it on this Red Hill property that NuLegacy has, you could easily fit that deposit in on this property. And where is it? We think it's in the Rift Anticlinal. Okay, it's that simple. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the more technical aspect. I'm not going to bore you to death with a bunch of geology, but I'm going to say this. Where they've been drilling so far, North Iceberg, Serena, Avocado, those are all on the eastern periphery of this gold system. They have had some interesting results as they drilled westward. We'll talk about that in a minute. What you see here in color, these are kind of prioritized drill target areas, and it's based on current interpretation of where this big system is. Okay, that orange blob is basically the highest priority area. Does it mean we know 100%? No, but it's probably pretty darn close to that. Okay, we're going to talk about the reinterpretation of geology that was done. Look, with this team from Barrick, they've done a fantastic job. These guys know this district inside and out. And what's really important here, they know where the gold is hosted. All right, you have what's called the Wenban 5. The DW5 stands for Devonian Wenban 5. That's the unit that hosts the big ore deposits in this region. Okay, when they studied the core, the drill cuttings and so forth from all the drilling that's been done here, they started to put together a very clear picture of what's going on. Now, all of that was over there in the right-hand side where you see the yellow stars. Okay, we have some intercepts already that are stellar. Okay, you see, when you see 11 grams gold over 12 meters, you know you're in the right neighborhood. When you see 17 grams over 8.7 meters, you know you're in the right neighborhood. Okay, so that's we're close, not quite there, but we're near something big. All right. Now we're going to look at a cross-section of the target area, the concept, the reinterpretation of this geology. Notice on the right-hand side, that's where those drill holes are. Those yellow stars are basically where the historic drilling was, and that's really on the fringe of the system. You have to follow that DW5 unit down into the center part of this section where we have what's called a rift anticline. What is an anticline? It's where rocks are bowed upwards, okay? You say, well, gee, those look lower than the ones on the right or the left. Yes, what's happened here is extensional faulting has dropped down the anticline, and so now it's a bit deeper in the ground. But really, that target is at the levels you see deposits like Goldrush and stuff. In fact, preservation of the target is actually key to finding big deposits in Nevada. Okay, so what have we done? We've done technical work like CSAMT, a big mouthful, controlled audio magnetotellurics. Okay, what does it show us? It shows us properties of the rock, in particular the electrical conductivity of the rock. Okay, so what we see here is a stratigraphic interpretation based on the sections for CSAMT, and you can see right away we have an anticline down there, and where that intermediate unit is, an intermediate resistivity unit, somewhat resistive, somewhat conductive. That's where we interpret the DW5. That's the key. Okay, so this is starting to show us where that target is. How are we going to test it? By putting offensive holes, basically drilling holes, boom, 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 across this profile. Okay, what does this thing look like? All right, when I started working with NuLegacy, all of us are on the same page. Look, this is the story here. Okay, this image I told NuLegacy to put in because I wanted to show people the analog for discovery here. This is Post-Betze. Okay, that black blob up at the top is the Tuscarora anticline in this case, but it's on the Carlin trend. Well, that's a 55 million ounce ore body. Look at the scale of it. Okay, from left to right, and then vertically, we're looking at something very, very similar in scale. That's the concept we have here for the Rift anticline. That there is geology that could host a deposit like that. Like I said, you need that preservation. You need it buried. It can't be sticking out at surface, or half of it will be gone. Okay, you need it buried, and you need that stratigraphy in particular. That DW5 has to be nice and thick. Okay, so what do we know about the DW5? Well, our study says that the DW5, that host unit, is thick here at the Rift anticline, like 90 plus meters thick. Okay, that's actually thicker than it is over at Goldrush. That's great because that's our host unit. If we have a nice thick section of DW5 to work with, we can host a big, big deposit. It's that simple. Over at Serena, it's only like 10 meters thick or so. Okay, why? Because you're up on the shelf there. I won't go into geology, but basically, as we go westward, we're getting into thicker and thicker section to host a bigger and bigger deposit. All right, so here's a three-dimensional view of the anticline. We're basically looking northward. Think of this thing like a big blanket, if you will, that's slightly upbowed, and it's going to project in and out of the section to the north and to the south. Again, think of that Goldrush deposit. That's the kind of profile we're looking at. Look at the scale of this target. That matches the big section that I showed you from Post-Betze. That's the big prize here, guys. It's that simple. Where's the big deposit in the Cortez region? I think it's here. We're going to do our darndest to find the darn thing, okay? So we're going to be drilling vertical fences of holes across this area, trying to tag this target right here. It's basically the same depth as Goldrush. No issues around depth. People say, oh, it's deep, it's buried. No, rubbish. That's a good thing. It's all there. Okay, we did more CSAMT recently. That's given us more refined data. Don't have time to talk about that other than to say it's done. What we're gunning for right now is getting our permit. Okay, so we anticipate getting permits in hand, our plan of operation proposal in hand by September of this year, which will allow us to start drilling those fences of holes across this region starting in October. Okay, so once again, I think the story is going to accelerate a bit. I think by late this year, as we drill holes, we're going to pre-color them. Okay, we have to get through that volcanic section, and then we go core. People are going to have to be a bit patient just to frame the exploration program correctly. But look, guys, we have the money, we have the geology. We're going to start drilling these holes, and we're going to test this target. If we come up trumps, we will have a big discovery. Again, the team, fantastic team, world-class team. You can see the folks here. A couple additional slides. These are end notes, as well as this, further disclaimers to reiterate. What I'm saying might be highly speculative. Not that I've not been known to do that before. Anyway. Great story. I absolutely love this property. I have for probably 16 years since I first recognized the area, and I think these guys are going to make discovery.